So the very first thing we're going to talk about is the Pythagorean Theorem. It's basically the relationship that's represented by the easiest formula you'll ever have to memorize, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So right now it says label the right triangle below. This is how I want you to label it. Label the shortest side A, label this side B, and label the diagonal line C. What I want you to notice is both A and B are called the legs of the right triangle. Okay? C is called your hypotenuse. So right here, just go ahead and put in parentheses C, so that way you know what C is called. C has two things that we need to know. Okay? The hypotenuse is one, always the longest side, always. Okay? Not only is it the longest side, it is always across from the right angle. So if you look for the right angle, if you go across from it, you'll notice that C again is your hypotenuse. So it's again across from the right angle. So write it across from the 90-degree angle. Again, 90-degree angle and right angle, they're the same exact thing. I just wanted to write 90-degree angle because it's shorter. So on this, let's go ahead and try our first example. It says here, find the missing length. So the very first thing I like to do is find which one is the hypotenuse. And how would I do that? I first look for the 90-degree angle, which is right here. I look across from it, and in this case, x would be my hypotenuse, which means 6 and 8 are the legs. So according to my formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I'm going to go ahead and plug in the legs for a and b. So in this case, I'm going to put 6 squared plus 8 squared equals x squared, because it has to equal your hypotenuse squared. 6 squared is 36, 8 squared is 64, and x squared will stay x squared. On this step, what I'm going to do now is combine like terms. 36 and 64 will make 100, and it's supposed to equal x squared. I'm not done yet. I still need to take the square root of both sides, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Take the square root of both sides. The square root of x squared is just x, and the square root of 100 is positive or negative 10. Now, one thing that I want you to consider, technically that is the answer. However, if I'm talking about distance, the length of this line right here, of the triangle, would I ever say it's negative 10? No. So I will exclude the negative values because there's no such thing as negative distance. So in this case, I'm going to say the missing, and this is the hypotenuse, I would say the missing hypotenuse is 10. Now let's look at our second example. Again, the instructions are find the missing length. The first thing I want to do is identify which one's the hypotenuse. So going across from the 90-degree angle, I'm going to see that 5 is my hypotenuse. Therefore, t and 4 are the legs, which I would plug in for a and b in my formula. So t squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. I'm going to simplify this. T squared stays the same. 4 squared becomes 16. 5 squared becomes 25. Now, in order to isolate t, notice I'm not going to combine like terms in this case because I can't. However, in order to isolate t, I need to get rid of the constant. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 16 from both sides, leaving me with t squared equals 9. Am I done yet, guys? Yes or no? No, I still need to take the square root of both sides, leaving me with t equals positive or negative 3. So in this case, what's missing? A leg or a hypotenuse? A leg. So I'm going to say the missing leg is, should I say negative 3? No, because there's no such thing as negative distance, so I would just say 3. Okay. I'm going to do just one more example with you, then I'm going to have you try the next 3 on your own. Instructions again are find the missing length. So here, please help me. Which one is the hypotenuse? Tell me in 3, 2, 1, go. 20. Again, it's across from the 90-degree angle. So n and 16 are my legs, so I'm going to say n squared plus 16 squared equals 20 squared. Bless you. Here I'm going to simplify what I have, so I'm going to be left with n squared plus, does anyone know what 16 squared is? 256 equals, what's 20 squared? 400. Can I combine like terms here? No. I'm going to have to get rid of my constant instead. So I'm going to subtract 256 from both sides, leaving me with n squared equals 144. Are we done? No. Again, I still need to take the square root of both sides. When I do that, I'm left with n equals, tell me in 3, 2, 1, go.
Positive or negative 12.
Positive or negative 12. So in order to answer the question now, what's missing? The leg. I'm going to say the missing leg is what, everyone? Should I put negative? No. Again, there's no such thing as negative distance. In our next example, it still says find the missing length. What I'm going to do first, again, is just find which one is the hypotenuse. So across from the right angle, I'm going to see that B is my hypotenuse. Therefore, 4 and 6 are the legs, so I'm going to plug it into my equation. 4 squared plus 6 squared is supposed to equal the hypotenuse squared, so B squared. 4 squared is 16. 6 squared is 36, and that's supposed to equal B squared. Now I can combine like terms. 16 plus 36 is going to equal 52, equals B squared. I'm not done yet. I still need to take the square root of both sides. And now you're going to here you're going to notice something. The square root of 52 is not a perfect square, is it?
No.
Okay, so what happens? Does it mean there's no answer? No, it just means your answer is not going to be a nice whole number. So we've done this before, so I am going to permit you to use a calculator. So real quick, in order to use the calculator, here's something that I want you to know. These types of calculators are slightly different. What you're going to have to do first is type in the number, and then you click the square root symbol. Okay? So here, my answer is going to be 7.21 ... but most likely I'll ask you to round to the nearest 10th. So here, I'm going to say the 1's going to make the 2 stay the same or go up? Stay the same. So I'm going to say the missing, in this case, hypotenuse. And since this is not an exact answer, I'm going to say is approximately 7 2/10. So here, I'm basically trying to show you sometimes it's not going to be a nice whole number. Doesn't mean there's no answer, just means your answer is not going to be a whole number. Now for number 8, again, we're going to find the missing length. First thing I like to do is find the hypotenuse, which in this case is a 7. So 4 and x are my legs, so I'm going to do 4 squared plus x squared equals 7 squared. I'm going to simplify. 4 squared is 16, x squared stays the same, 7 squared becomes 49. Here I can't combine like terms. I'm going to have to get rid of my constant by subtracting 16 to both sides, leaving me with x squared equals, what do you guys think? 33. Am I done?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
No, I still need to take the square root of both sides. Is the square root of 33 a nice whole number? No. So I'm going to go ahead and use my calculator. Again, the first thing I'm going to do is put in 33 first, and then click the square root symbol. Based on my answer, I'm going to say the missing, what should I put? The missing leg is exactly or approximately? Approximately, what guys? 5 7/10. For example number 10, the instructions are the same. We're going to find the missing length. Here, it's going to look a little intimidating because you're like, wait, I see a square root of 33. I don't know how to do this. But we're going to do the same exact steps, and you're going to see, hey, it's not that hard. I'm going to find out which one the hypotenuse is, which is 7. So n and the square root of 33 are the legs. So I'm going to put n squared plus the square root of 33 squared equals 7 squared. Here, it's going to stay n squared. The square root of 33 squared means the square root of 33 times the square root of 33. So what's the square root of the square root of, what is the square root of 33 times the square root of 33 squared? It is just 33. So they're inverse operations, so basically what happens is they undo each other, and that's why you just get 33. And this equals 7 squared, which is 49. Now, here I can't combine like terms, so my next step would be to try to get rid of the constant by subtracting 33 from both sides, leaving me with n squared equals 16. I'm done, right? No, I still need to take the square root of both sides. So n equals positive or negative 4. But should I include a positive answer?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Should I include a negative answer?
No.
Because there's no such thing as negative distance. So I'm going to say the missing leg is exactly 4. It's not approximately, it's exactly. Now we're going to move on to the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. And this states, for any triangle with the sides A, B, C, where C is your longest length, if A squared plus B squared equals C squared, then the angle between A and B measures 90 degrees, and the triangle is a right triangle. So what this means is hey, if you can get A squared plus B squared to equal C squared, then it's a right triangle. If you cannot get A squared plus B squared to equal C squared, it is not a right triangle. So for this example here, the instructions say, determine whether the given lengths could be the sides of a right triangle. The first thing you need to do is, again, determine which one could possibly be the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse, if you remember from the front page, the hypotenuse is the longest side. So here, I'm going to circle 13. I'm going to say that could potentially be the hypotenuse. Notice I'm saying potentially because there's no guarantee it is a right triangle. So now I'm going to go ahead and treat 5 and 12 as the legs. So I'm going to have 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. 5 squared is 25, 12 squared is 144, and 13 squared is 169. I'm going to go ahead and combine these like terms. I'm going to do some side work as well. 144 plus 25. 4 plus 5 is 9. 4 plus 2 is 6. 1 plus nothing is 1. Leaving me with 169 equals 169. So guess what? It did work. So this means, since it is true, this is a right triangle. So I will say yes, it will make a right triangle. You can put TRI for short for triangle, or you can draw a triangle. Either one would suffice for me. Now let's look over at the next example. So the same instructions apply, except now we're given 9, 12, and 6. So the first thing I want to do is identify the potential what? Hypotenuse, which in this case could be what number? 12. 9 and 6 are there, the legs of the triangle. So I'm going to say 9 squared plus 6 squared equals 12 squared. 9 squared is what, everyone? 81. 6 squared is what, everyone? And what's 12 squared? 144. I'm going to combine these like terms. That's going to be some side work. I'm going to do it right here. 81 plus 36. 1 plus 6 is 7. 8 plus 3 is 11. I'm left with 117 equals 144. Did it work? No. So I'm going to say no. It will not make a right triangle. And yes, I expect you to write this sentence on your homework. You just can't say yes, you can't just say no.